So, Miami, a biting race. I started having a thought earlier in the morning that maybe Sergio Perez won't win the race. There's a conspiracy theory that Max Verstappen will win, and I was not wrong. And I said winning the race would be a strategy thing yesterday. And here we are. Strategy won the race. Strategy changed a lot of fates, and that is the essence of having a long practice. Teams learn, while some teams don't learn. Some teams like Mercedes knew they'll get by on hard tires, but they can't compromise the joy of the medium tire for a front runner. But for someone like Alonso, it was him treading on stones, barefooted. My name is Oshifes Oluwadamilare. I'm a mechanic. Welcome to Exxon F1, also known as Formula One Column Africa. Here we go. So, it was a beautiful event in Miami today. The Americans always make their things special. They bring a lot of things. will.i.am composing the song Formula and directing the orchestra for the introduction, giving them a new Formula One song. It was so beautiful. The stars coming on the grid: Serena Williams, Venus Williams, Roger Federer, Paolo Banchero, the NBA star, a lot of NFL stars. But the major talking point is the race. The race was not that spectacular like I thought it would be, but there are highlights, and I think the highlights made that race beautiful. Let us leave the Red Bulls aside because they are in a league of their own. We knew they were going to win by a lot of margins. And like I said, it won't take Max Verstappen long before he powers down his Red Bull and make overtakes on everybody. And it was even, like I said yesterday, he made double overtakes. Like, it was just too easy for him. The car was not stressed, like the Alpine and the Haas overtaking a Ferrari, and Ferrari struggling to overtake them back, and they are overtaking themselves. Once a Red Bull just overtake you, just forget. That's how the Red Bull this year is. They're just so fast, and there are two videos that I've talked about how fast the Red Bulls are. The part 2 will be dropping, and what the Ferrari need to do. Also what Mercedes will be bringing down to Imola, which is next race in 2 weeks time. Possibly what they will be bringing. I'm not in their factory, but what we think they should be bringing. What will work for them, what will bring them closer. Things we see if that is what they are bringing, and we'll analyze that race when they bring those upgrades. But the big winners for today are the Alpine. Last week, they brought upgrades to Baku, but they were unable to really get the best out of their upgrades. But this race, the upgrades came out shining. That is for Pierre Gasly and Esteban Ocon, and they came in 8th and 9th. That is just beautiful for them. For me, that is a beautiful comeback for them. As did a good job. Kevin Magnussen finished 10th today. That is fair enough for them. But for the Alpine, if they can get that, then we know in the next race, with the little bits they are bringing, that will bring them closer to the 4th and 5th position on the table, and that means they'll be competing with the Ferraris and the McLaren possibly. The McLarens had a bad day. They finished last, and it was so rough for them because they started on the soft tires, and the soft tires were not good tires. Those tires didn't do up to 5 laps. They had to change the tires, and that was the beginning of the end for them. Logan Sargent, the home race boy, crashed his car, his front wing, into somebody else's race car in the first lap. Got his front wing damage. He had to change his front wing, and from there he was just out of the race. Then the Alfa Romeo, they were fast on the straight also. They gave a fight. Meanwhile, the Williams were in a league of their own. They gave everybody issues except the Red Bull. Their straight line speed is just too superb. Albon delayed Hamilton for over 20 laps. Hamilton was just stuck behind him before he was able to overtake him. And one more driver that did well was Alonso. Alonso qualified well yesterday, and he did so beautifully well in the race today. He was able to keep the Ferrari of Carlos Sainz behind him, not even making the Mercedes smell where he was, which was great for him. That was great racing for him, and I think the driver of the day should have been Lewis Hamilton. But unfortunately, he didn't win the race because that Mercedes car, even Toto Wolff looked at the car and he called that car shit. Last year, the W13 was called so many names last year, but the names were coming out in the middle of the season. But this W14 is so worse that they have been giving it different names since the beginning of the season. This is the 5th race, and they've given that car another name, shit. I hope if they can bring better upgrades, which we believe should work for them, the nomenclature of that car might change. I don't see them closing up on the Red Bull so much. But that being said, that Ferrari race pace is worse. So worse, they cannot get their tires working perfectly. It's either the tires are overheating or biting away, or they can't get temperatures into it. When they get temperatures into the tire, they can't maintain temperatures. The downforce is everywhere. They are just losing on all sides. And for me, they have the second best vehicle, a vehicle that is very, very close to the Red Bull, but their setup, their understanding of their machinery, they don't have, and that is putting them in a very desperate position. The Aston Martins are bringing new upgrades in Imola. Mercedes are bringing upgrades in Imola, and the Ferrari are bringing upgrades in Imola. If they are all bringing upgrades, I still tip the Aston Martin and the Mercedes better than the Ferrari, because Ferrari should be on top of them. They have everything good, but they are not doing anything with what they have. It's just a sorry case for them. But starting a race with 3 Spanish-speaking drivers was great. A lot of Mexicans were there, Spanish-speaking countries were there to cheer for Sergio Perez. Sergio Perez could not hold on to his lead. All being said, it's a beautiful race. Like I said, the Red Bulls have their issues. I think it is diplomatic the way they are dealing with their issues to our face. But if they keep going like this, there might be issues in the middle of the season, which I believe there will be. Andretti was on the grid today, and he gave his own opinion. From what he said, there's a possibility and a positivity of them coming to F1 in 2025, because they will be joining forces with Cadillac to come into F1 as an 11th team. Christian Horner complained about an 11th team coming into the grid, that most circuits, the facility for 11 teams or 12 teams, that the facility they have for 10 teams, they are still struggling with it. I think if they are struggling with it, they can make expansions, which is what Formula E is doing. Formula 1 can't do that. Formula 1 is much more richer than Formula E, so they will do that. I believe with more teams, the competition is much more tighter, much greater. There are lots of things to see. There are lots of opportunities in Formula 1, especially for other drivers that are out there. Most drivers that were unable to get to Formula 1, if not Formula E, they won't be driving. They won't be having seats. But that might happen, and I think I'm seeing that happening in 2025. Andretti coming in, and maybe one more team coming in to make them 12 teams, 24 drivers, which is good for Formula 1 and which gives African much better hope to have a place in Formula 1. The race in Miami today, Max Verstappen came from ninth to win the race in Miami. Checo Perez came in second. Fernando Alonso came third. George Russell came fourth. Carlos Sainz came fifth. Lewis Hamilton came sixth. Charles Leclerc came seventh. Pierre Gasly came 8th, Esteban Ocon came 9th, and Kevin Magnussen came 10th. That was great racing. We'll give you more updates in the next 2 weeks as we prepare for Emiliano Romagna in Italy. Please keep watching, keep subscribing. We love you. We want to hear from you. If you love what we do, so you can reach out to us, and we are open to suggestions, your comments, to what more we can improve and what more we can do. We love you. Ciao.